Well, hello, and thanks for watching another episode of News of the Pews, where you can count on unapologetic 2A advocacy. Gun rights are human rights. In my less than humble opinion, gun owners spend way too much time worrying about some distant hypothetical future where blue helmets and the feds go door to door confiscating arms. Because, dear brothers and sisters, we don't have to speculate about some distant hypothetical future. Local cops are doing the stepping right now, and sometimes they don't even have an unconstitutional statute to hide behind. Matthew Rankin is a 2A activist who was harassed by Dallas police for exercising his rights after he walked into Dallas police headquarters openly carrying a suppressed pistol. The cops couldn't charge him with any crime because Texas law prohibits public buildings from banning guns. Instead, after telling him he was free to go twice, they followed him outside and arrested him for jaywalking, towed his car, held his gun for 2 months, and according to his lawsuit, subjected it to ballistic testing just in case he did a murder. The jaywalking charge was later dropped for insufficient evidence. I know some of you don't like open carry activists, and I agree that some activists seem more interested in clicks and attention than shifting the Overton window, but I firmly believe that normalizing firearm carry is an important part of inoculating the public against the shock of seeing a gun.
They do exist.
And I also know that First Amendment auditors rub some of you the wrong way as well. Again, some of them seem to have poor motivations, but rights don't need protection when everybody is comfortable. They need protection when somebody is being irritating on purpose. Our system needs obnoxious people to make us stink sometimes, and they must be protected from retaliation. So Rankin is suing Dallas, the police chief, and several officers for violating his 2nd, 4th, and 14th Amendment rights, and I hope he drives a metaphorical Komatsu D355A through the city budget. I only wish the cops and council critters had to pay the bill instead of the taxpayer. But hey, it would be impossible for me to produce quality 2A propaganda without you. That's right. I don't have any sponsors, so I literally could not make this content without your generous support. So if you happen to be in a comfortable place in life, please consider supporting this channel by purchasing one of these sick t-shirts for just $15. Or maybe one of these rad stickers, mugs, or magnets is more your speed. And if you'd like to give more directly, I have placed links in the doobly-doo for Patreon and PayPal. Patreon supporters get early access to scripts and videos, as well as private Discord access. But as always, if you are not in a comfortable place, please don't feel pressured. You don't owe anyone else a thing. Just enjoy this 2A propaganda at the price of free $99 and continue to pray for us. But at least jaywalking is an actual statute that's written down in a law book somewhere, even if it does take a dickless loser to enforce it in retaliation for exercising rights. But Montgomery County, Pennsylvania Sheriff Sean Kilkenny, you bastard! Apparently decided it would be more efficient to just let the gun control lobbyists help make up the policy. Emails obtained by the Second Amendment Foundation show Ceasefire PA pressuring Kilkenny to inspect gun dealers, while the Brady campaign is dictating checklist items for the inspections. Pennsylvania requires dealers to have a state license in addition to their FFL, and a rule made up by the Pennsylvania State Police claims that applying for the license constitutes permission for warrantless inspections. Now I'm going to go ahead and say that again. The chief law enforcement agency in the state made up a law out of thin air for themselves to enforce, and the sheriff is running with that. The SAF argues the General Assembly never passed a law authorizing these searches, and according to the SAF suit, Kilkenny sent his policy and checklist to 92 dealers demanding access to their homes or business, hours of their time, and access to documents including federal forms, with license revocation hanging over anybody who refuses. My favorite part is an email where the sheriff's own solicitor asked, "What is MCSO authorized to do, if anything, in the event of a violation?" Isn't that a question you should think about answering before you threaten to take people's livelihoods? Friends, please take note. This is not officer-friendly, reluctantly following orders. This is a local sheriff aggressively, intentionally, unilaterally, and unlawfully working to violate your rights. But the PA isn't the only place where local cops like cosplaying as ATF agents. Pinellas Park, Florida cops really like the way F Troop just makes up arbitrary and capricious rules, so they decided to give that a shot themselves. According to Travis Smith, when a Pinellas cop stopped his nearly 40-year-old station wagon for a dim tag light, his sharp eagle eye spotted an empty container of devil's lettuce left behind by Travis's passenger in the back seat. Recognizing this as an obvious sign of hardened criminals about to do a terrorism, Officer Doofy immediately declared he was searching the car with or without consent. A dozen cops eventually showed up, and they spent close to 3 hours running the serial number of every gun and trying to figure out whether they could get away with pretending the brace on Smith's AR is actually a stock. Eventually, they arrested him for possessing an unregistered short-barrel rifle and wacky tobacco, even though the container was empty. And they confiscated every gun and round of ammunition in the car. Even Sarasota County Sheriff Kurt Hoffman said that if it had been a stock instead of a brace, police had discretion and could have removed the part and sent him on his way. Considering they were uncertain of the law and they knew he had no criminal record, it tells you a lot about their attitude. I really want this part to sink in. These cops were not actually certain a law had even been broken, and they knew for a fact nobody had been hurt and nobody asked for their help, yet they decided to send a man to the struggle cuddle cage. The classification was apparently so obvious it took nearly a dozen cops 3 hours to figure it out, but Smith is the one facing a felony carrying as much as 15 years. These are not good people just trying to do their best. These are evil men with bad intentions who actively want to harm their peaceable neighbors. Don't let me catch you making excuses for them. And finally, we have a local cop who may actually face some consequences for once. Former DeKalb County, Georgia Deputy Derek Harris Jr. has been charged with involuntary manslaughter after he discharged his gun while he was trying to handcuff 19-year-old Seth Jaden Eccles. According to the arrest affidavit described in the reporting, Eccles was lying on his stomach and complying, while Harris held a gun at his back in one hand and cuffs in the other. The gun fired, and Eccles died. Now, don't get it twisted. Eccles appears to have been a genuine bag. The reason he was being cuffed is he was suspected of armed robbery and had an active warrant. I don't care. Arrest him. Keep him locked up while he awaits trial. Give him competent counsel and due process, and if a jury convicts him of a violent crime, put him away for a very long time. But guilt is determined in court. It is not administered through a negligent trigger press while a suspect is face down and complying. This keeps happening. There is literally no excuse for holding a gun in one hand while struggling with fine dexterity in the other, let alone to have your finger on the trigger. Assuming this wasn't just another accident and was indeed caused by a manual trigger press, I want this cop to do time, and he should never be allowed a position of public trust. Far too often, dirtbag cops just drift a few miles down the road and find a dirtbag department that's only too happy to hire them. I believe that when cops are fired for cause, they should never be allowed a position of public trust for the remainder of their life. What do you folks think? The only legitimate role of government is to safeguard the rights of the people. That means police should arrest people who commit violent aggression. It also means police must be held accountable when they violate rights themselves. This isn't a binary, simplistic choice between hating every cop or licking every boot. Judge the conduct. Back the officer who protects peaceful people. Sue the one who violates them. And when a cop kills somebody through criminal negligence, prosecute him like anyone else. So while you're worrying about what Washington might do someday, pay attention to the department down the street. Ask your sheriff whether he thinks a badge creates authority or the people do. And I don't mean that rhetorically. Call up your local sheriff and be certain he comprehends where you stand on gun rights, because he wants to win re-election. Well, friends, rounds complete on 2, but before I get to your moment of completion, I'd like to remind you this program was made possible by contributions from the William H. Crocker Foundation, E. Senior, Ozark Pilgrim, Squirted Glizzies, and viewers like you. I love you.